Very good afternoon. I'm Brian Manning. I'm a political asylum lawyer, and this is the Asylum Answers show where I'm going to answer your questions about asylum in the United States. So I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now as an asylum lawyer, well, we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. That's what we do all day, every day. That's all that we do. All right. That's all that we do. A lot of immigration lawyers, most immigration lawyers, almost all immigration lawyers that you talk to will tell you, oh, we do all kinds of immigration. We do family-based immigration. We do investment-based. We do employment-based. We do deportation. We do this, that. We do asylum. We just do asylum. That's what we are laser focused on. Asylum law is complex. It's difficult. I honestly and personally think that you can't get that good at it if you're not focusing on it every single day. That's all we do. All right. Listen, I want to answer your questions about asylum in the United States. But first, say hello. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Love to hear where you guys are at. So say hello. All right. We got folks on YouTube sounding off. We got a question. But we also got Hermela says hello. We've got Ernesto says good afternoon, Brian. Hello, Ernesto. How are you? We got Hermela says they're in Cali, California. Nice. Adams, we're going to go back and address that question in a minute. Hope you're doing well, says Ernesto from Costa Rica. Interesting. All right. TikTok, how are you doing? Good afternoon from San Francisco, says Mash. Thanks for joining us on TikTok, Mash from San Francisco. We got Saeed in Houston. Good to see you. Saeed, thanks for joining us. Hello, hello. Hello to you too. Nice. Glad you guys are with us. What is a G28, says Sharon. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Actually, that's an easy one. Let's just do it now. A G28 is the form that says that a lawyer is representing you before USCIS. It's a form that you have to sign, and the lawyer signs, and they send it in, and it tells USCIS, hey, the lawyer is now representing this person, therefore USCIS deal with the lawyer, meaning send all the letters to the lawyer and engage with the lawyer, because that person is now the person's representative for their case before USCIS. That's what the G28 does, is it basically tells USCIS that, hey, you've got a lawyer, deal with the lawyer now for this case. That's what the G28 does. We've got Jacqueline in Ohio. Elvis says, Jacqueline Elvis in Ohio. We've got Agustin says hello from Maryland. Nice. All right. Hello, hello. All right, I'm going to answer your questions about asylum. Go ahead and leave me your questions. But first, let's talk about this. I want to tell you about laying the foundation for your case. I'm talking specifically about the asylum application. Now, there's different schools of thought about what needs to be included as part of the asylum application packet. Some lawyers like to provide everything at the time of application. By everything, I mean in addition to the application form itself and any required documents you have to have, like if you're including dependents, like marriage certificate, birth certificate for children, as well as identification documents. In addition to that, some lawyers like to provide a declaration from the applicant, from you at that stage. They like to provide evidence at that stage, and good lawyers will provide a legal brief at some point. Most of them don't do a legal brief at all, but if they're a good lawyer, they will. And some of those that do provide the legal brief like to provide it at the application stage. Now listen, we don't do that. At the application stage, we just do the asylum application and the documents that are required. And we have reasons for that. If you want to know, you can ask me about it. I'll tell you in more detail later. But later, we're going to submit a packet that I call an asylum roadmap that contains your declaration, evidence, and our legal brief. But at the application stage, we just do the application. But listen, here's the thing. It still needs to be done carefully. This document is the foundation for your case. And what we see, unfortunately, is that a lot of times people do this without a lawyer, or maybe they'll hire a so-called form preparer to help them with this application. And it's tempting to think, I just want to get my application on file so I can get my case started, so that I can start that employment authorization document clock, so I can get my green card, or my work permit soon. So I'm just going to do the application by myself. And then later I'll hire a lawyer. Once it's time for my asylum interview or, my court hearing, at that stage, then I'll hire the lawyer. But for now, I'll just apply on my own, or maybe I'll just pay a cheap document preparer or immigration, specialist, or whatever they call themselves, these people that are not lawyers, that are pretending they're acting like lawyers, they're playing the role of a lawyer for cheap. I understand that it's tempting to do that. I understand that lawyers are expensive. I understand that's a sacrifice that you have to make to get enough money to hire a good lawyer, but it's an investment. Listen, it's an investment at this stage, at the application stage. It's an investment in laying the groundwork for your case, because listen, I've seen a lot of cases messed up and even ruined that go on to get denied because the asylum officer or judge is like, listen, you said something different in your asylum application than what your case has turned out to be. Because often people that you don't know. I mean, even though you might think that you know, but I got to be honest with you, you probably don't really know what the asylum officer or judge needs to know about your case. You don't know all the stuff that they need to see in order to understand that you should get asylum. And once you hire a lawyer later, all that's going to come out. The lawyer is going to, if they're a good lawyer, they're going to help you to present all that stuff to the judge or the officer at the interview. And when that information was not in your application originally, or you didn't frame the application in a way that explains some of at least the highlights, but said that, you would explain more details later. Basically, if you didn't do the application right to account for various things, it can come back to haunt you later. Okay. The point is this: lots and lots and lots of asylum cases get denied because the asylum application is not done properly. That's the bottom line. So while it's tempting to think, I'll just do the application by myself, or I'll hire this cheap notario, this cheap form preparer, this immigration consultant to help me with the application, then later I'll get a lawyer. I understand that's tempting to do that, but don't do it, because you might lose your case. Even if you hire the best lawyer in the world later, there are things that can happen with your application itself that will end up meaning that you almost certainly lose your case. Okay. So the point is this: your application doesn't have to be super extensive. You don't have to explain every single incident of harm or threat in your case in great detail in your application, but it does need to be framed in a certain way that helps tell the story, that helps the officer or judge understand your case, meets certain minimum thresholds to constitute a valid, viable, and in fact good asylum application. So do it right. All right. You want to do this right. Hire a lawyer from the beginning. Now listen, if you already applied, it's not too late. It's not too late to improve your case. We have lots of people who come to us after they've already applied, and there is a ton that we can still do to help them improve their case, help them increase their chances for success. But listen, it's best if you start with a lawyer from the beginning. All right. All right. That's what I wanted to say. Let's go to your questions. I'm going to start on YouTube. By the way, on TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you want to see all my best stuff, like all these really detailed trainings that I've got about asylum, go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers. That's the name of my law firm, and that's the name of our YouTube channel, Political Asylum Lawyers. So go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers and go to the playlist, and that's where you're going to find all kinds of detailed trainings about how to win asylum in the United States. For those who joined after I introduced myself at the beginning of this show, I'm Brian Manning. I'm a political asylum lawyer. My law firm is based in Texas, but listen, we help people all over the country. It doesn't matter where you live. We help people all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. All right. We help people get asylum all over the United States. And really the best way to contact us, if you want to talk with us and see what's going on, see if we might be able to help you, then you should do this. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, winasylum.com. That's where you can quickly, easily schedule a consultation, what we call an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals who's going to analyze your situation, tell you what we think, and tell you whether we think that we might be able to help you to secure your future in America through asylum. All right. That's what we want to do. So go to winasylum.com. Let's go now to the questions. All right. Adam says, can you seek asylum because you don't want to serve in the military because of your sexuality? All right. Good question. Let's do this. Yeah, totally. I'm going to address that question. Thanks, Adams, for asking. The question is this: can you get asylum in the United States because you fear being harmed for refusing to join the military in your country? And the answer is maybe. I know that's a total lawyer answer, right? Maybe, but it's what I got to say. Let me explain. If you get punished for refusing to join the military in the same way that anyone else would get punished because the country has laws that say if you refuse to join the military, then you might go to jail for a while, then no, that's not going to help you win asylum in the United States. However, if the punishment that you would receive is disproportionate, like you get like a really harsh, severe punishment for refusal to join the military, or if there's anything at all that you can point to that suggests that it's because that you're getting this extra harsh treatment because of your maybe political opinion, your sexual orientation, anything, any of the 5 protected grounds, if that's one of the things motivating the punishment, then yeah, that could serve as the basis for asylum. All right. So listen, what you really need to do is you need to talk with an asylum lawyer about this. This is something that you definitely need to go through the facts of your particular case. We would ask you quite a few questions about this to see what we think the motivation is, and to tell you, what we think about your chances for success. Okay, so go to go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals so that we can see if we think we can help you. All right. We've got Hermela Wardojo says, I applied for asylum in July and got my interview in September. My lawyer says we have to reschedule. Is it a good move? I wouldn't do it. First of all, before I answer your question, Hermela, thank you for the question, but let me just note for everyone watching, let me just emphasize this timeline. Hermela applied for asylum in July and got her interview in September. So let me address this like this. Here's a good question that this raises. Is it true that some people are now getting their asylum interviews super, super, super quickly after applying? Here's the thing. Everyone in the world knows that, everyone who's seeking asylum or who knows someone who is, knows that there's lots of people who've been waiting for many years for their asylum interview, right? So most people think, okay, if I apply for asylum now, I'm going to wait for years necessarily, right? That's not necessarily the case. We have seen recently some people getting their interviews very quickly within just 2 or 3 months of applying for asylum. That's actually what USCIS wants to do. They have a policy that says that they're going to try to schedule people as quickly as possible. And for a while, that was happening. For a while, it was like people were getting their interview within 1 or 2 months usually of applying. Then it wasn't like that for a couple of years. However, it may be going back to that. It's a long, kind of complicated story. Why? Due to some immigration policies. But yeah, right now, we're seeing people get their interview in some cases very quickly. So get ready. All right. If you applied recently or you're thinking of applying in the coming months, you need to be ready to move quickly on your asylum case and preparing it and building it and preparing yourself for the interview because it might happen very quickly. All right. All right. Let's go back to the question that you actually asked. Your lawyer. Okay. So your lawyer, you said, Hermela, is saying, he says you have to reschedule. Why? What's your, Hermela, what is your lawyer's thought process or reasoning for why you need to reschedule? Why does he want to reschedule? Or she? Let me know. But generally, I'll address it generally. So the question is this. So you've gotten your asylum interview scheduled, but your lawyer's telling you, it's best if we reschedule it for some reason. Should you do that? Well, listen, I got to say no. I mean, listen, maybe your lawyer has a really good reason for this. But generally speaking, I think it's best to present your case as soon as possible. The sooner, the better. There's various reasons for that, but just trust me for now, let me just say the sooner the better, all right? If you ask to reschedule it, it could be soon. It could be very soon, like a month or so after the originally scheduled interview, but it might not be. It might be a long time. It might be several months. It might even be years. So no, listen, I think if you can avoid this rescheduling thing, you should avoid it and you should go to your interview as originally scheduled. That's what I think. All right. But Hermela, can you let me know in the comments what's the reason? What is your lawyer saying is the reason that that they think it should be rescheduled? Badru says, hello, Badru from Massachusetts. Badru, good to see you on. Instagram earlier and here again on YouTube. I was doing a live with my friend, an attorney who's originally from Turkey and is a U.S. citizen now and does personal injury law. And we were talking about asylum with her followers on Instagram. And I saw Badru over there. Thanks for joining, Badru. King Nori. Is there any way I can, or King Nori, I'm sorry to hear that you've got to wait another 2 years. King Nori says that you basically, you went to your hearing, or the judge rescheduled the hearing for 2 years because there were no fingerprints on file, despite that you requested the fingerprints from USCIS. And they said they would reuse the previous fingerprints, but they didn't send you anything. We're trying to get in touch with the DHS attorney, but no answer. What do we do? I think you got to do a motion to advance. It's basically a motion where you ask the judge, like, hey, can you move up our hearing date? If you want to get your hearing sooner, which, as I just said a second ago, generally speaking, I think that it's best to present your case as soon as possible. So I would say do a motion to advance, explain what's happening, and explain that you've done your part. You've made every effort to get the fingerprints done, and you applied, you sent the request for it, and explain that you're still working out with DHS to make sure that they get done and they're on file. But I would try to advance the case through a motion to advance. All right. So we've got Hamid Abdul says, is there any way I can complain about my previous lawyer? What for? What do you want to complain about? Tell me what you think, what they did wrong, and I'll let you know what I think. All right. Because you can do what's called a bar complaint. So the licensing body for lawyers is done at the state level. So they're licensed in some state, probably the state where they're practicing, where they live, but not necessarily. It could be any of the U.S. states. You can make a complaint with what's called the State Bar Association, where they're licensed, if you want. But it's a pretty serious thing to do. So you should only do it if you've got a legitimate concern that they really truly messed something up in a way they shouldn't have. All right. Nayeli Bustillo says, Nayeli, we have a Spanish language YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, on YouTube, go search for Asilo Aprobado if you want to see our YouTube channel in Spanish. I don't know I assume you speak Spanish, but I shouldn't probably make that assumption. Maybe you don't. My asylum is administratively closed when I was 15 years old. Do I accumulate unlawful presence? I currently have a work permit. Good question. The question is, what happens if your case is administratively closed in immigration court? Do you accrue unlawful presence? Good news. No, you don't. Now listen, this is distinguishable from where a case is dismissed. Where a case is dismissed in immigration court, you do start to accrue unlawful presence after that dismissal if you don't have some other kind of legal status. But administrative closure is different. With an administrative closure, you don't start getting unlawful presence because the case is still alive. With administrative closure, the case is still pending. It's just basically on pause. It's in a holding pattern, if you will. So that's, the good news for you is that you do not, I understand you were 15 when the case was that either your own case or a case that you're included in as a dependent was administratively closed. As long as it's still pending but administratively closed, you're not accruing unlawful presence. So that's good news for you. All right, let's go to TikTok. Okay. Does a LGBTQ plus case have a chance to win fighting the case in detention center in California? So the question is this. Is it possible to win an asylum case based on the fact that you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community? And furthermore, is it possible to win that kind of case while you're detained in immigration detention? So the answer is, first of all, remember that to win asylum, it's not enough just to convince the judge or the asylum officer that you're at real risk of being persecuted, of being gravely harmed. Rather, you also have to show that persecution would be motivated, at least in significant part, by the fact that you, as the asylum applicant, possess one or more of the 5 protected grounds, 5 protected characteristics, they're sometimes called, under U.S. asylum law. Those are your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or something called membership in a particular social group. And the good news is that, yes, being a member of a sexual, what they call a sexual minority, LGBTQ plus community, yes, that does count as membership in a particular social group. And yeah, it's possible to win while detained. It's hard, but it's possible. Okay? So listen, the mere fact that someone is a member of the LGBTQ plus community is not enough to win asylum, okay? You have to show that that's going to actually put you at real risk of being harmed, okay? And, some countries, it's easier than others to prove that. It also can depend on what's happened to you in the past. If you've been persecuted in the past, that helps you to win. It helps you to show that there's a reasonable possibility of being persecuted in the future, okay? But still, the way that you build your case, the way that you construct it, the framework, and then the way that you prepare and present it, all that stuff matters, okay? It's just like any other case where just being a member of a certain group is not going to be enough. You have to actually show that you personally meet all the requirements for asylum, okay? Let's go. Listen, if you want to get in touch with us, we would love to talk with you in what's called an asylum strategy session. This is where we're going to analyze your case. We're going to see what's going on and tell you whether we think we're in a position to help you to secure your future in America through asylum. All right. That's what we want to do. If you're thinking that you might want to get help, increasing your chances to secure your future in America through asylum, then go to winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation. It's super easy to do that. If you prefer, you can call us at 713-909-0401. Again, that's 713-909-0401. That's where you can call us to schedule an asylum strategy session. Here's the thing. It's free right now. We used to charge for this. We charged almost $200, but at the moment that we're doing this live, this Asylum Answers Show live, we're offering this consultation for free. I don't know if we're going to keep doing that for how long. So take advantage of this moment to schedule now. Go schedule it right now, okay? I want to talk. I want you to talk with someone from my team to see if we think we can help you, okay? All right, good question. So Ernesto Medrano says, my cousin's in New York. She did not get caught at the border. She was kidnapped by the coyotes. She was released on a payment of $5,000. She does not have an A number. My question is, can she apply for asylum without the A number? Yeah, so here's the question. The question is this. Can you apply for asylum after having come through the border without an A number? Like if you actually never had contact with the authorities, you came across the border, you were undetected, you didn't turn yourself in and you didn't get caught at the border, you got through somehow and you went into the country. Can you now apply for asylum? The answer is, yeah, you can. So most people who come to the border have contact with the authorities, right? And they get detained at least for a few hours and they get processed and they get put into deportation proceedings where their case is going to be with immigration court and they're fighting their case in immigration court and they have an A number. But there's some people that cross through without that happening, without getting detained, without getting detected, without having contact with the authorities. They're not going to be in deportation proceedings. Rather, this person is going to apply for asylum with USCIS. And yes, you can do that without an A number. You just apply for asylum like someone who came on a visa. Same process. Okay? So your next step, or your cousin's next step, is to apply for asylum with USCIS. And I recommend that you do that online by go to the USCIS website, which is uscis.gov, and create an account, my USCIS account, and apply online. It's much better to apply online than it is to apply on paper and mail it in, okay? All right. All right. What are the steps after the interview and how long does it take USCIS to send its decision, says Irina. Good question. On Facebook. Nice. So, Nice. Okay. The question is, the question is this. What happens after your asylum interview with USCIS, and how long is it going to take to get your decision? So you don't have to do anything after the interview unless you receive what's called a request for evidence. Rarely, but sometimes, the asylum officer thinks of additional questions they need to ask, or actually, sometimes they ask you to come back in for a follow-up interview, but that's very rare. More frequently, but still rare, you get a request for evidence where they say, hey, we want to see some more documents. Please send in these certain things. But usually that doesn't happen. Usually you don't have to do anything. You just wait. The asylum officer, though, has to process your case. They have to make a decision. They have to justify it in writing. They have to write what's called an assessment that their supervisor has to approve. Then there has to be some processing that goes on to get your decision finalized and then mailed to you or ready for you to come pick it up, whichever they've told you they're going to do. How long is this going to take? I don't know. At least a couple weeks. Very often it's several weeks. Often it's months, to be honest with you. Could even be longer. Unfortunately, there's no way to predict this with confidence, unfortunately. Okay. So listen, if you've been waiting for multiple years, let me rephrase that. If you applied for asylum multiple years ago, and then you have your interview and it takes a long time to get your decision, you can sue the government to force them to give you your decision. This is the famous mandamus lawsuit that I love talking about. And, usually I talk about this in the context of suing to try to get your interview scheduled, but you can also use it to force a decision, because sometimes people wait years for an interview, then they have the interview, and then they wait months or even a year or even multiple years to actually get the decision. Sometimes it just gets lost, or they say that there's security checks going on, or for some other reason, they're just not doing their job. And in those cases, you can sue them to force them to take action and give you your decision. All right. All right. Let's go. King Nori, yeah, the motion to advance is to move the hearing forward, but yeah, you still need to solve the problem of getting the fingerprints done to DHS's satisfaction. And so to do that, yeah, your lawyer is going to have to negotiate, have to sort it out with DHS, with the prosecutors that are involved in the case. Okay. Mohammed Nur Ahmed says, hi, how are you? Doing well. Thank you. Thanks for being with us, Mohammed. What do you mean, John? John SP says, many are saying I'm not going to get any help because of so many applications. What do you mean so many applications? And I'm a student. If I lose, I'll have to go back. I'll have to leave the place and get back to the hell where I don't want to go. Yeah, I mean, if you're afraid of being harmed there, then it sounds like asylum might be a good option for you. All right. Irmela says, we have to get evidence, witness statements, and I haven't submitted my declaration yet, and she didn't prepare me for the actual question. She thinks it would be denied, and I'm scared. Hermela is following up on an issue that we started touching on earlier, where she said that her asylum interview was scheduled for a couple months from now, or I think in September, you said, so this month. And her lawyer was like, oh, that's sooner than we expected. We're not ready. Let's postpone it. Let's ask to reschedule it. And Hermela is now saying, I asked why. Hermela says, we have to get evidence, witness statements, and I haven't submitted my declaration yet. And she didn't prepare me for the actual interview. She thinks it would be denied. I'm scared. I mean, Hermela, listen, if you asked to have the interview rescheduled, yeah, that'll give you a little bit more time. Like I said earlier, it might be a month, it might be several months, it might be years. I think it's best to have your case considered now, especially considering that Trump may be in the office in the White House in January, and that's probably it's only going to make things worse. It's only going to make it harder to win asylum. So it's definitely not going to make it easier. So I think I still disagree with your lawyer, Hermela. I think you should push forward and be ready for the interview now. If the interview is this month, well, I don't know when did you say when it was? Maybe I missed if you said the date. Listen, if it's at the end of the month, if you have at least 3 weeks left, there's time. There's time to do a declaration. There's time to get some evidence together. There's time for your lawyer to write a legal brief. By the way, ask your lawyer, are you going to write a legal brief? Most lawyers don't. They're missing it's a huge missed opportunity. to advance your case, to help explain your case in a way that helps the officer to get to the answer yes in your case in the easiest way possible. So ask them, are they going to write a legal brief? And there's enough time to do the practice interview, the mock interview. Okay. So listen, Hermela, if it feels like your lawyer's not up to this task of giving you the best possible chance to win your case, then talk to us. We have people all the time that come to us and they say, Brian, sometimes they say, Brian, I like my lawyer. They're great. They seem like a nice person. They're a great person. They're well-meaning. They care about me and my case, but I just don't think that they're the person best equipped, best positioned to give me the best possible chance of winning my case. And listen, this case is too important to your future. Your asylum case is too important to your security. It's too important to your future, to whether we're talking about whether you get to stay here and build the life here that you want to build. We're talking about your safety. In some cases, we're talking about people's lives. For some people, this is a matter of life and death. So if you're not comfortable with your lawyer, if you don't think that you're with the right person who's going to give you the best possible chance, then you should change lawyers. Okay. Hermela, if you want to talk with us about this, go to winasylum.com. We would need to talk with you like tomorrow or like the next day to, if you wanted to hire us to help you if your interview is in the next few weeks. We need to talk right away. And if you talk with my team and they're like, sorry, the interview's in 3 weeks. We don't have time to help you. We can't help you. Say, oh, but Brian tell them, be like, Brian told me on a live on Monday that if I called today and you had at least 3 weeks that, he would consider helping me. So could you please ask him, ask my team to ask me. All right. And I'll see if we can make an exception for you. Cause usually we don't take on cases that are within a month of the interview, but Hermela, I like you. I like your case. Let me rephrase that. I appreciate that, you're in this difficult position and you're trying to do your best to figure out what's the best thing for you. I like it when people are proactive and thoughtful about their case, and meaning they're like committed to actually trying to build the best case possible. And it sounds like you're serious about it. So you're exactly the kind of person that we'd like to help, Hermela. So I would welcome the chance for you to get in touch with my team. Okay. Hermela, this is a super important point. She says, if I reschedule, the work permit clock time will be paused or not because of app. So yeah, this is a super important question. And I want to address it like this. Here's the question. If you ask to have your asylum interview with USCIS rescheduled, is that going to affect your ability to get a work permit? Yeah, it might. So here's the thing. If you ask USCIS to reschedule your interview, and this is something that we're seeing a lot because we've seen some cases recently where USCIS is scheduling interviews right away within 1 or 2 or 3 months of the person applying for asylum. It's catching people off guard because many people have been waiting for years for an interview, but owing to various factors and the way that USCIS policy is handled, they are now, at this moment, scheduling some people who apply right now for interview very quickly. And it's catching people off guard. They're like, oh, should I reschedule to give myself more time? Ask for a reschedule. If you have not reached 180 days yet since you applied and you reschedule, it will probably result in your EAD clock being frozen and it will not start counting again until you have your interview. That could be months from now. It could be years from now, and you won't be allowed to work legally during that time. So keep that in mind. All that is to say, right? Like, if we're getting a work permit is important to you, as it is very important to most people, then it definitely makes sense to, consider that factor. That factor alone may be dispositive. It may be enough for you to conclude, I'm not going to ask to reschedule my interview because it's going to keep me from getting my work permit for at least a while, maybe for a very long time. So keep that in mind. All right. Good question. I'm glad you asked that. All right, what do you, Mash says, can I amend the nationality in asylum case to the original? What do you mean? Amend what? Like your nationality? Like change what you say is your nationality? Is that what you mean? Let me know what you mean by that. Okay. After asylum at USCIS is referred to immigration court in Newark. I see IAD judge name for December 2024. I don't understand your question. What's your question, Bunny Store? Bunny Store, you've been on here before. We should talk. If you haven't called us to have a consultation, we need to talk, I think, about your case, all right? I'm not sure what your question was. Could you restate it? All right. Mamu Ma says, my asylum was dismissed 2 months ago. Can I reapply for a new asylum? Yep. The question is this. After your asylum case is dismissed from immigration court, can you apply again for asylum? And if so, is there a certain time limit within which you need to do that? So the answer is yes. You can apply for asylum anew. You can do it again, but you'll be doing it this time with USCIS, the agency that handles what's called an affirmative asylum case. So you apply with them. What's going to happen next in terms of whether you have an actual interview with them or they instead accept your application materials and then pass them directly back to the immigration court and put you in deportation proceedings again, starting all over, it depends on whether you've had an asylum interview with USCIS in the past. Listen, it's a little bit tricky, and whether you should apply again is something that you should really talk about with an asylum lawyer. But let's turn to the other thing. Is there a time limit to do this? Not technically, but I really do recommend that you apply with USCIS if you're going to do so within a couple months of your case being dismissed from court. Okay, so like you said in the question that it was about 2 months ago, I think you should hurry up. I think you should do it definitely within 3 months of having had your case dismissed. Why? There's a little bit of concern that USCIS could deny your asylum because of the 1 year filing deadline, because you did not apply anew for asylum within a reasonable time of your case being dismissed from immigration court. There's no precedent for this. This is like a new situation. This is a new circumstance under which USCIS is receiving applications. So we don't know exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to treat this issue, but I do worry a little bit that for cases that apply several months after dismissal, USCIS could say that the 1 year filing deadline that is a bar to asylum. Technically, it's a bar to even applying for asylum. Yeah, I recommend that you do it quickly. 2 months ideally, really ideally 1 month. 2 months, as quickly as possible after that. All right, hurry up. You need to move quickly. All right, let's go to YouTube. Isabella says, hello, what happened if someone showed up to the second hearing without a lawyer? So the question is, what happens if you show up to your individual hearing in immigration court without a lawyer? So we're talking about what's sometimes called the merits hearing or the hearing on the merits, also called the individual hearing. This is the one where you're expected to explain and fight your case. And usually at this hearing, the judge makes up their mind, issues a decision, and tells you about it right then and there at the end of this hearing. So what happens if you show up there without a lawyer? Well, you don't have to have a lawyer. You can proceed on your own and present and fight your case without a lawyer. If you show up without one, the judge will probably expect you to go forward and have the hearing. You can ask the judge, say, Judge, actually, could we reschedule this? Could we postpone this to give me a little bit of time to find a lawyer? Some sympathetic judges will say yes and reschedule it, but some will say no. They might say, nope, you've had a lot of time to do that. You should have done that. You should have shown up today with a lawyer, so you're on your own, all right? So it's way better to hire one before this hearing, okay? You want a lawyer. The asylum approval rates are much higher for people with a lawyer. So you want to have a lawyer, all right? It's not like a subjective sort of like, oh, sometimes it's helpful. No, you definitely want to have a lawyer, all right? So don't start calling lawyers a week before your hearing. You need to hire this lawyer like at least 2 months before your individual hearing, okay? To give them time to build your case, all right? All right. Okay, let's see. How long does it take to get an interview with USCIS? Thanks for your answer. So, the question is this. For people who are applying for asylum right now, how long is it going to take to get their interview with USCIS? Now, listen, I can't tell you with confidence, like, okay, it's going to be X amount of weeks or months or years. But what I can tell you is this. I'm actually hopeful right now that it could be very soon. That's a good thing because, listen, in general, the faster that you get to explain your case and have a decision made, the better. There's various reasons for that I won't go into now. But listen, in general, the sooner the better. Right now, we have seen recently people getting their interviews very quickly within like 2 or 3 months of applying for asylum. And that's owing to several factors. But listen, it's true. There's many people who have been waiting for many years. Those people should sue the government to force an interview. But just because of certain factors, right now, yeah, it may be soon. So when you apply right now, be ready to go full speed because you may get your interview very soon. All right? No guarantees. You might not. It might be several months. It could stretch into years. If you are waiting multiple years, in most places in the country, 3 years or more, at least 3 years, you should sue to force them to give you your interview. All right? All right. Can you say more about the court lawsuit for interview? Oh, absolutely. So the question is this. What can you do if you've been waiting for multiple years for your asylum interview with USCIS and you're sick of that? You're sick of waiting. You want to get your interview so that you can explain your case, so that you can win your asylum case and get confidence around your future, around your ability to stay here, to stay safe and stay here and build the life that you've been dreaming of building in America. Well, yeah, there actually is a straightforward answer to this. Sue the government. There's this tool called a mandamus lawsuit that we've been using a ton recently in my law firm, and it's an extremely powerful tool. It's called a mandamus lawsuit. What it is you're filing a lawsuit in a federal court, asking a federal judge to tell USCIS to do its job, to tell USCIS they have to give you your interview and your decision right away. And it's powerful and it works, and our clients are loving it because it works, all right? Don't delay. Sue the government. If you've been waiting for too long, sue, all right? We should talk about this for sure. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation with us, what we call an asylum strategy session, where you can talk with one of our asylum professionals, about your situation. We're going to tell you what we think. We're going to tell you whether we think we can help you. And if so, we're going to tell you exactly how we would do that, what steps we would take to give you the best possible chance of securing your future in America through asylum, including, if necessary, by filing a mandamus lawsuit in a federal court to compel your interview, to force your interview, because that's what you're entitled to. That's what you deserve. The law says the government needs to act in a reasonable time. And if they don't do that, you can do this lawsuit to make them do their jobs. All right. We love doing this. We do it all the time. It's super effective. It's a powerful tool, and our clients absolutely love it. All right. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com to schedule your asylum strategy session. Go there right now. All right. Listen, I want to address this. Emil said you had a negative experience with our team members were rude. Listen, I'm sorry to hear about that. My team is great. And if you Google political asylum lawyers Houston, you'll see that we have like over 350 reviews with a 4.9 star average. People commenting all the time in those about how great the staff is, and how pleasant they are and how hardworking and caring they are. So I'm really concerned to hear you say that you didn't have a good experience. So listen, it was probably not one of my employees. It was probably I'm guessing you maybe called after hours or on a weekend where it was a contract service that answered the phone. But in any event, it shouldn't have happened. No one should be rude. So I'm sorry to hear that you had that experience, Emil. Send an email to info@politicalasyluምላwyers.com. Again, info@politicalasyluምላwyers.com, so that I can look and tell me when you called the date and time, and tell me, and I'll see your email address so I can look into it and figure out what happened and make it right. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry you had that experience, but we definitely prioritize having a great client experience and potential client experience for everyone. So, yeah, I'm sorry that didn't happen with you. All right. Okay. So Imanis says you're an asylum seeker with multiple years waiting for the interview. Now you change your address. How long will it take USCIS to transfer your case, and how will you know your case has been transferred? Good question. If you move from the jurisdiction of one asylum office to another asylum office such that your case should be transferred from one asylum office to another, how do you know that's actually done, and how long is it going to take? So it's supposed to happen automatically. USCIS is supposed to know, okay, based on these different zip codes, the person is now under a different asylum office, and the old asylum office is supposed to start the process of transferring the case file to the new office, and the new office should put you in their system. It should happen. That process should start like immediately, and your case should be fully transferred within a couple weeks, but it doesn't always happen. These things fall through the cracks, so to speak, all the time. And what you need to do is email to follow up. Email the old asylum office where you used to live until they respond and say, hey, I did the change of address, attach a copy of the PDF, say, could you confirm my case has been transferred to the new asylum office? Keep following up every few days until they answer and say, yes, it has. Okay. That's what you should do. All right. Jeff says, will a J1 persecution waiver help my asylum application? I was a J1 holder funded by the U.S. government. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It only, let's say yes, a tiny bit, like it's worth bringing up. But it's not, you should not feel like, oh, that's all I need. I basically won my case because I have this. No, it's not like that. It helps maybe a little bit, but you still need to fully build and present your case. Okay. Wow. Claudia says, I applied for asylum 9 years ago and I'll have an appointment and interview in 3 weeks. Are you talking about an asylum interview or with USCIS or an immigration court hearing with the immigration court? Let me know. When can I submit an inquiry for my, okay, nice. Recommendations for last minute. Claudia says your videos are excellent. Yeah, Claudia, that's my recommendation. On YouTube, for those of you on TikTok, Facebook, go to YouTube, search for political asylum lawyers, and then click on the playlist tab. And there is a playlist that's called something like full-length asylum trainings. That's my best stuff. That's where I've got some really detailed asylum trainings that I think are going to help you. So Claudia, that's my best advice. Well, my best advice is hire a lawyer. That's my best advice. If you can't do that, my next best thing is watch those videos, all right, on YouTube, all right, on the asylum, full-length asylum trainings playlist, okay? And I've got a super long training that's like how to prepare for your asylum interview, okay? So watch that. And I've also got a detailed like 30 or 40 minute long video about like what happens at the asylum interview so that you'll know exactly what to expect, okay? Good luck. I hope you win. Scoffby Reef says, I need to talk with you about my case and see how you can get help. So then let's do it like this. The question is this. If you want to talk with my law firm about getting help with your asylum case, what do? How should we get in touch? Well, it's super easy. You go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, and that's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session. This is a consultation with one of our asylum professionals. We're going to analyze your situation, all right? We're going to see what's going on, and we're going to tell you whether we think we can help you. If we think we can help you, we're going to tell you how. Listen, a lot of immigration lawyers you talk to will just be like, oh, don't worry, we got this. We'll put together a case for you. That's not enough. You need a plan. You need a concrete strategy for how you're going to build, prepare, and present your asylum case. And we're going to tell you concretely what we're going to do to give you the best possible chance to win your case so that you can secure your future in America through asylum. And it all starts with this consultation. You can schedule it now at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Go there now. Let's schedule it now, right now, all right? I'm going to check after this call, and I hope, Scoff, I hope to see you on our schedule, all right? Okay, yeah, Hermela says, I applied on 25 July, and on August 7th, you received your interview notice for an interview on September 9th. Yeah, so listen, that's less than a month and a half, Hermela. That is fast. That's very fast. Everyone, this is big news. This is important. Hermela, what Hermela is saying is she applied for her asylum on July 25th, and her interview is on September 9th. So that's to July 25th to August 25th is 1 month. And then that's about, a couple more weeks to get to September 9th. So a month and a half. That's very fast. That's very fast. If you're thinking about applying for asylum, this could be you. You might get your interview really, really fast. That means you need to be ready to move. You need to be ready to build your case. Unfortunately, Hermela, I'm sorry that you're in this position where it sounds like your lawyer is not ready. You said in a previous comment that, you don't have the declaration, you don't have evidence, you don't have a mock interview, practice interview scheduled yet with your lawyer. It sounds like your lawyer is not maybe fully prepared to be able to move quickly. I'm sorry you're in that position. If you want to talk with us, actually, no, I take that back. We don't have time. You have literally 1 week before your interview. You can't hire us. We don't have time in 1 week. So, do the best that you can. And if it doesn't go well and you end up in immigration court, I hope you don't. I hope you win your case. But if you get sent to immigration court, then schedule a consultation with my team right away, okay? So we can talk about possibly supporting you there in immigration court, all right? Beth Cruz says, how is it in the San Francisco Asylum Office? Is it minimum 3 years to apply for mandamus to expedite? So good question. So the question is, how long should you wait before suing the government to force them to give you your asylum interview? Like, what's the minimum waiting time at which you can sue and have a good chance for success in getting the interview scheduled? So listen, everywhere in the country except for Los Angeles, we are saying at this moment, this could change, but at this moment that we're doing this live, we're saying 3 years everywhere except Los Angeles. So yeah, that would include San Francisco, 3 years. We've been having success in getting people's interview scheduled without the government fighting back against it, with us just having to file and do a little bit of negotiation with the prosecutors, but not having to fight the case to the very end, which would take a long time. We've been having success at 3 years, except with the Los Angeles Asylum Office. They have fought back in 2 cases where it was less than 5 years. We think with Los Angeles, you should wait for 5 years right now. But listen, this stuff could change. But right now, 5 years in Los Angeles, 3 years everywhere else, and we think you're in good shape. All right. We should talk. Beth, we've had a bunch of success in San Francisco with this lawsuit, and then with winning the case afterwards. So we should talk about this, Beth Cruz. Why don't you go talk with us in an asylum strategy session? Go ahead, Beth. Will you schedule that? Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, and schedule this session to talk with one of our asylum professionals so that we can see if we can help you. Okay, Beth. I want to engage. I want to talk. All right. Ben says, do you accept candidates who speak French? Yeah, we do. Ben, our managing attorney, like our top lawyer at my law firm, which is not me. I'm not the managing attorney. She's French. She's French American. She grew up around Paris. She was a judge in Paris. So she's a big shot. She's got incredible experience in the courtroom. She knows her way around the courtroom, to put it mildly. And she is a native French speaker. So yeah. And then we've also got a couple of paralegals, a couple of our support staff who speak French fluently as well. So we can definitely do your case development in terms of working with you, preparing you. We can do all of that in French. Okay. We've done that. We do that with clients. All right. So give us a call. Ben, will you do that? Will you give us a call if you want to? The best way to schedule is go to winasylum.com. The second best way is call us at 713-909-0401. That's where you can schedule your asylum strategy session. All right. Fareed says, is Newark a good office for USCIS interview? Yeah, it's among the higher approval. It's not the best. It's kind of in the middle in terms of approval rates, high or low approval rates, kind of in the middle, but it's definitely better than better than the bad ones. It's better than Houston, Miami. It's better than New York. Newark is better than New York. Those two things sound almost the same. It's very confusing, I know. But the Newark, New Jersey office has a higher approval rate, a much higher approval rate than the New York office, the New York City office. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right. All right. Claudia says, it helped me a lot to clear up my points. The videos, she says, thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad that you find them helpful. All right. Thanks so much. And that's it for today. You've been watching the Asylum Answers show. I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. My law firm is based in Texas, but listen, we help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you're living. We have lots of clients in New York, all over California, Florida, around Chicago, North Carolina, everywhere in between. Doesn't matter where you're living. We help people all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. So listen, go to winasylum.com to schedule a consultation, winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com to schedule a consultation so that we can see if we can help you to secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and as always, it's a pleasure and an honor to support you in your asylum journey. All right? Have a good afternoon, good evening, and I want to see you again very soon on the next live.